If you have been anywhere near the cybersecurity space since last Friday, you have probably heard the noise around a new vulnerability shaking the internet web stack, React2Shell. It came in fast, it came in loud, and it came in hot enough that even Cloudflare suffered a serious outage on Friday morning CET time because they were racing to push emergency protections for their customers. And when Cloudflare, one of the biggest, most resilient internet infrastructures, experiences disruption while trying to shield the internet from a zero-day, you know the vulnerability is not just big, it's historic. Over the weekend, the story kept escalating. Researchers flagged it as CVSS 10 critical flaw. Nation-state actors moved in almost immediately. Security teams worldwide scrambled to assess exposure. And if you run anything built on React server components or Next.js, the question is not theoretical. By today, Monday, your system is either already patched or potentially already compromised. So in this breakdown, we are going to explore what React2Shell actually is. In plain language, how attackers weaponize it into full system compromise, who jumped on it first and why, and the actions you need to take within the next 48 hours to stay safe. This is not just another CVE to scroll past. This is a wake-up call for anyone building modern web apps, because React2Shell is not about the browser, it's about your server, your cloud, and your data. So let's dive in. React2Shell lives in a part of React that most people never think about: the server-side rendering path, specifically the flight protocol, which carries data between your server components and the browser. On the surface, this looks harmless, but at the core is a deserialization flaw. React takes attacker-supplier data, interprets it as trusted objects, and accidentally gives the attacker a way to execute code on your server. And here's the part that makes this so dangerous. There is no authentication, no tricking a user, no clicking anything. The attacker sends a single crafted request to the server, and React turns it into a remote shell. You don't need misconfigurations, you don't need unsafe modules enabled, you don't need a bad deployment. If you support React server components or the Next.js App Router, the vulnerability is simply already there. This is why exploits started spreading so quickly. It's incredibly easy to weaponize. And the entry point is exposed by default in modern React frameworks. Now, the real danger isn't just the initial shell. It's what the attackers do after they get in. And that takes us to the full attack chain. Here's the entire React2Shell attack chain compressed into one line, the same way attackers execute it in real world. Step 1, scan. Automated bots sweep the internet looking for any server running React or Next.js with server components enabled. This is constant and it never stops. 2, exploit. The bot fires a malicious payload to the server's component endpoints. If the target is unpatched, the deserialization flaw triggers instantly. 3rd, shell. Your node process suddenly becomes a command execution environment. Attackers now run system commands as if they were on the machine. Step 4, steal keys and pivot. They pull environment variables, metadata endpoints, configuration files, anything that might contain cloud access keys. With valid credentials, then they expand from one container or virtual machine into your entire cloud environment. This is where breaches escalate from one server to everything that server could reach. And last one, monetize. The final step depends really on the attacker. Cybercrime groups deploy crypto miners or ransomware. Nation-state actors usually drop backdoors and begin quietly siphoning data. This is why React2Shell is not just another bug. It's a straight line from a single HTTP request to a full cloud compromise. Now, here's where things get quite interesting and honestly, even a bit uncomfortable. React2Shell is not being exploited by one type of attacker. It has attracted two completely different worlds, both moving fast, both with very different goals. On the left side of the slide, you actually see the symbolic representation of state-backed espionage groups. Within hours of disclosure, multiple China Nexus threat actors operationalized React2Shell. Why? Because for them, this vulnerability is not about cache, it's about access. Access to government portal, telecom infrastructure, financial institutions, universities, NGOs. React is everywhere. And if you can slip into a server quietly through a web framework used globally, you have just unlocked a high-value intelligence channel. On the right side, the picture changes. Here we are in the world of cybercrime, which is opportunistic, fast, noisy. These actors are not interested in geopolitics. They are here for profit. So CPU cycles, crypto mining, cloud access, resource theft, footholds, future ransomware deployments. And what makes React2Shell so dangerous is that the same bug fuels both ecosystems. Nation-states see it as a strategic foothold, criminals see it as a money printer. And you, whether you like it or not, are caught in the middle. Because this is not a race against a botnet anymore. It's a race against foreign intelligence services. When a technology reaches the scale of React, a vulnerability inside it stops being a developer issue and becomes a geopolitical event. Look at this slide. React sits at the center, not just of your app, but of an entire digital ecosystem. Now follow the lines. React may touch banks, hospitals, cloud platforms, governments, everyday users. This is the supply chain angle almost nobody talks about. If a small SaaS vendor somewhere uses React server components and gets compromised through React2Shell, and that vendor provides services to 50 banks or 200 hospitals, then all of their customers inherit automatically the risk. One breach, thousands impacted. Move now to the next cluster, domestic surveillance. Some state-backed groups are not just interested in big corporations. They are watching activists, journalists, NGOs. A compromised news platform or a charity website becomes a surveillance node, all because of a single, widely used web framework. And then there's the ordinary user, people who don't even know what React is maybe. For them, this ends up as unexplained account takeovers or mysterious data leaks or identity theft or breaches that seem to come out of nowhere. That's the collateral damage when nation states and cybercriminals weaponize the same digital tools. React2Shell is a reminder that web development choices today become geopolitical surface area tomorrow. All right, this is the part you absolutely want to screenshot. Here's your 48-hour action plan for React2Shell. Step 1, we have inventory. Identify every app you have using React server components or the Next.js App Router. Shadow IT counts. If it touches the internet, it must be checked. Step 2 is patch. Upgrade to the fixed React RSC packages and the patched Next.js version. This is not a wait for the next sprint kind of patch. This is drop everything and update. Step 3, shield. Enable your WAF or your CDN protections. Cloudflare, AWS, and others already rolled out emergency rules. But they are not always enabled by default, so turn them on. Step 4, hunt. Go back to logs from the disclosure day Friday morning. Look for weird RSC payloads, unusual server actions, and commands like who am I or hints of crypto mining or silver beacons. Step 5, last one, contain. If something looks off, assume compromise. Rotate keys, reimage, treat cloud credentials as burned until proven safe. This checklist is your lifeline. Pause now, screenshot it, and send it to whoever owns your web stack. They will certainly thank you later. So let's wrap this up. React2Shell is one of those vulnerabilities that reminds us how interconnected, how fragile, and how geopolitical our digital world has become. A single flaw in a common framework can ripple across banks, hospitals, governments, critical services, and everyday people within hours. But the good news is this: when the community reacts fast, patches fast, and shares knowledge fast, we limit the impact. Videos like these, warnings from researchers, rapid updates from frameworks, this is how we stay one step ahead. If this breakdown helped you understand the threat, hit like, drop a comment, tell me patched if you're rolling out fixes, and consider subscribing so you don't hear about 0 days after attackers do. If you want more deep technical analysis, you can definitely continue right now with the next video in the System Fracture playlist, and I'll meet you there. I am Max, Point Break Security, and I'll see you in the next one.